Welcome to Figuring Out Homestead Life with Ginny and Allison.
Hi, Allison.
Hi, Ginny. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm very well also. It feels like it's been a while.
I know. It does feel like that.
Yeah.
But no, it's just been our regular time.
Okay.
You must miss me.
I do. I miss your smiling face and your laugh. Oh.
What have you guys been up to?
So let's see. We've been working on the woods cabin. I think we were working on that last time we talked.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a work in progress. We had to change the tire on the tiny house because it's totally flat. And we have to move the tiny house because after hunting season, we moved it to the plateau area where we do yoga.
Yep.
And clearly it has to move from there before May.
Mm-hmm.
But the ground's so soft that we need the ground to freeze one more time. A nice solid freeze so we can move it.
Yeah.
So we're hoping this coming week it will freeze. So Maple's been not running, and I received a new pair of bogs because the bogs that Randy bought me last March, the very end of March, they started separating from the sole. And
like what are bogs? But they're okay, now I know what they are.
They're basically my barn boots. So I contacted Boggs after I went to their website. They have a 1-year warranty. So they sent me a brand new pair.
Oh, sweet.
And so I had noticed like all throughout the winter that my socks were getting wet.
Yeah.
And I didn't do anything about it. And I was like, oh, I should see when Randy bought those. He bought them March 31st. So I contacted Boggs and they were awesome. Their customer service is amazing. And so I got a new pair of boots in the mail yesterday.
That's pretty cool.
And so I just want to say Ariat. I don't know if you're familiar with Ariat boots also.
Yes.
They also have a 1-year warranty because a couple years ago I had a pair of theirs that something was going on and they sent me a brand new pair too. So those are two companies I would highly recommend. This is not a paid promotion. We don't get any money from this. Our podcast is not that big. Our following is not that big, but if you need a pair of boots, I would recommend Boggs or Ariats.
I've never heard of Boggs, so yeah.
Yeah, I was using Muck boots. The Muck
That's
brand.
what I have is Muck boots.
They just don't hold up for me. And actually, maybe it's all boots after a year. They just don't hold up. So, but the Boggs,
your boots probably get a lot of wear and tear.
They get worn every day.
Yeah.
I don't wear them all day long, but anyway, that's okay. What else is going on? So I got home from work today because today was an off farm work day. I'm driving up the hill and it's a gorgeous mid-60 day outside. And I look toward the barn as I'm coming up the road and the goats are sunbathing outside. And PJ, the buck that we bought last spring, is laying flat out. I was like, okay. I get up to our driveway. He hasn't moved. I come in the house, change clothes, look out the kitchen window. He has not moved. Like, didn't turn his head, didn't lift his head up, nothing. I hop on the four-wheeler, jet down to the gate where they're laying by. Doesn't move. Open the gate, make a bunch of noise, walk in, hasn't moved. I start dialing Randy on the phone. I get 5 feet from him, and he lifts his head up and looks at me. And then he stands up. And Randy answers, and I started swearing. Sorry. I was like, I was calling you to tell you we have a dead goat, but he's perfectly fine. I'm holding a phone like...
You interrupted his sun nap.
I did. I'm holding a phone like old people hold phones. Instead of like this.
That's funny.
Anyway, so he's fine. He just wanted to give me a heart attack. Yeah.
Right? Oh my goodness. He's
Oh,
probably like, what are you making all this racket for? I'm trying to relax in the sun, lady.
trying to take a nap, Mom. So yeah. Other than that, not much. Not much at all. And you?
Yeah, not too much. I've been trying to make maple syrup, but like you, it is not going very well. And I actually reached out to someone that's very close, like close in my area to me that makes a lot of maple syrup, just curious how she
Yeah.
was doing. And she said not well at all. She's done like less than half of what she normally has by this time period. So, and even though it's been warm out during the day, I think the night temperatures aren't getting cold enough.
Yeah.
So just there's just no sap. So I'm like, well, that was kind of a bust, but take what you can get.
Yes.
I'm just like, wow, I hope the people that do this and rely on it for,
Income.
income, I hope they were able to do all right. Yeah, I just do it for fun, really. So,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
was a bit disappointing.
So we do sell ours, but we're so small scale we don't rely on it for
Right.
income.
Like you're not going to lose the house over the maple
No,
syrup production.
it's we don't have that much invested in our production.
Yeah.
So
So,
besides the $5 buckets.
right.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've
Yeah.
just been doing that, and then I did do my big spring cleaning out of the chicken coop over the
Uh,
weekend. So that was fun.
I did that.
It
I
took
did that
a,
last week too.
yeah, it's like early, but it's been so warm. I was like, well, what the heck? I think it's time to clean it all out. I like cleaned the windows. I was shop vacuuming all the dust nastiness. I like went to town. I was out there for like 3 hours. I'm like, okay,
Cool. Very
chickens
cool.
better be appreciative.
Yes. Yes, they better.
Uh,
So, anything else you want to talk about, or do you want to get into today's topic?
we can move into today's topic, which has
Since
to do with what I was just talking about.
yes, chickens. Chickens on the homestead. The
Yeah, the
gateway
cutest
animal.
time of year. They
Yeah, the
are, yeah.
cutest. Definitely the cutest time of year. Baby animals.
Yep. Baby chick season. I saw them
Yes.
setting up all the little like fencing and tubs and all that at Tractor Supply to
Yes.
put the little chicks in when I was there last week. So
Yes. I
they're
am
coming.
definitely glad they got away from those evil towers that they had them in. For it was like 1 year they had them in these awful towers. I
Oh,
think it
I
was
don't think
during
I ever saw
COVID.
that.
I think it
Oh,
was during COVID. It was like, oh, why are they doing this?
like what kind of a tower?
It
Like when you
was
like things stacked on top of each other?
it was like one solid unit with different shelves, and they had little doors where they could open and get the chicks out, and there were holes on the
Oh,
floor for the poop to fall through, and they could pull the lower shelf out to remove the poop. But
yeah.
it was like a torture chamber. I don't know. I don't know exactly
Yeah.
who invented the tower or where it came from, but it was like
Uh-huh.
1 year, and then they went back to the metal tubs, or
Yeah.
some. I guess some
People,
use the rigid plastic tubs.
okay. I bet people were complaining because that seems sad.
Yeah, I guess there were like a lot of dead chicks that year.
Probably because they're all, yeah, crammed in the little thing.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
poor
yeah.
little cuties.
Little cuties. Yes. So, where do you want to start? Besides the Tower of Terror.
So, well, I guess, well, were chickens the first animal you guys raised?
Yes, actually,
Yeah.
when Randy and I met, he had an order of chicks that was coming.
Oh, okay.
So,
Cool.
yes,
Yeah. I was just curious. Mine too,
yeah,
obviously, because that's the only outside animal we have. So,
yes.
so
How long?
where do you guys?
Oh,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, how long have you had chickens?
So this was my second winter with them this past winter.
Oh, it seems like you've
So
had them
there'll
for
be
longer. Okay,
no, yeah, so there'll be three this year. My like original
okay,
chickens will be three this year.
okay.
So,
All right.
yeah.
So, I think Randy had chickens before this batch of chicks that he had gotten. So for me, this is year 14.
Oh wow. That's
Wow.
cool.
Wow.
That's a lot of chickens. Yeah.
It's a lot of chickens in my life. Some successful, some not.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I'm
So
not
where do you guys? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm not an expert. So I may have had chickens for 14 years, but I am not an expert. So
We're figuring it out.
that's right.
An egg spurt.
An egg spurt, yes. Okay. All right. So where do we get our chickens from?
Yes.
We have ordered them through the mail multiple times. So Whelp Hatchery was one. I cannot remember where those first chicks 14 years ago came from because Randy had ordered them before me, before I burst into his life. And we've gotten them from Tractor Supply. And then we have a store in New York, in this, at least this area of New York. It's not in our area, it's an hour away, called Runnings. And they're like Tractor Supply and Dick's Sporting Goods and Sportsman's Warehouse, all combined into one big, huge store.
Ooh.
It's an awesome store.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, and they get a ton of birds, a much larger scale than Tractor Supply. So yes, so that's where we've gotten ours.
I've done in the mail. My first batch came from the local hardware store.
Okay.
But they don't keep them there, so they must have ordered them in from a hatchery, and they called me, and I had to go pick them up that same day. So they didn't. It wasn't like like Tractor Supply where they just had them. Mm-hmm. So you had to fill out an order sheet and all that jazz ahead of time. So that's where I got my original ones, and then I've gotten them in the mail from a hatchery. I've also incubated fertile eggs that I had and hatched them out that way. And then I've also had the hens hatch them out and gotten chicks the old natural way, I guess.
The old natural way. The good old natural way, yes.
Which was the easiest way because I had to do nothing. So there's lots of different resources that you can find your chicks. You can also probably look on Craigslist. I just would be maybe a little, I don't know.
Yep.
Ask questions, I think, before you get stuff off of Craigslist about how they're taking care of the animals.
Definitely ask questions. Check with your local 4-H. There's probably kids that are raising chickens for sale. There's local farms that raise chickens for sale. Mm-hmm. They breed chickens. So yeah, all kinds of resources. Mm-hmm. If you do order them by mail, I personally, this is me, I don't know if you do it, when I know the chicks are coming, I give my local post office a heads up to let them know that I'm expecting chicks. They appreciate it. They say that I don't have to call, but they really appreciate knowing that there's live chicks coming. And be prepared to go to the post office in your pajamas at 6:30 in the morning to pick them up.
Yeah, they want them out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yes.
And you just like are banging on the front door like, hello, you called me. My chicks are in there.
Yeah. We heard them cheeping. Cheep, cheep, cheep. Something we do when we first bring them home, I'm not sure if you do this, I think it's recommended, is that as you take them out of the box that they come in, we dip their beaks in water so they know where their water is. Plus they've gone, like if you get them in the mail, they've gone a day or two without anything. And that's supposed to be perfectly fine because they are shipped the day they're hatched.
Yeah, so they're still absorbing the yolk sac, which just has their food and water for the first 2 days. So
yes. So setting up a brood area for your chicks.
So that is interesting. I've done a few different things, some of which I do not recommend. You do.
As have I.
So the first year, because it's very deceiving. When you get them, they're really, really small and cute, and they grow incredibly fast, and they're very dirty, and you don't really expect that when you first get them. So the first year I got mine, I didn't really know what I was doing. So I ordered some like chintzy thing on Amazon. I think it was like $15. So it was basically like just little corrugated plastic panels that made a circle. They were attached by like little zip ties.
Okay.
So it wasn't strong. It had no floor. It had no roof. It was very small. That was probably big enough for the chicks for maybe 2 weeks. I don't even think I had nothing else to do. So I just started taking pieces of cardboard boxes and like making it bigger and bigger and this was in my guest bedroom, which I also took no precautions of covering anything to account for all the dust
Oh,
that was
yeah.
going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that room, by the time the chickens were ready to go outside, was trashed and needed to be like completely deep cleaned. The curtains had to come down. Like it was not good. So that was not fun. So if you can, I would try to put them in like a garage or like somewhere that is not your living space because they are very dusty.
So I heard you start to say basement.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
That's
that
a
depends on your basement, but yeah.
yeah. So we did that the first year that we had them. They were in the basement in one of the little kiddie swimming pools.
Yes. Okay.
We too learned some valuable lessons because those kiddies pools do not have a cover on them, and within 2 weeks they're jumping out. And when they jump out and they can't jump back in, they're not under the heat lamp.
Right.
So,
Oh, yep.
so finding
Yep.
something to cover the pool with large enough that allows for airflow and the heat lamp to get through. Yeah.
What I
We
used last year, which
uh
I loved, which I'm going to use this year again, it's actually it's a puppy playpen.
okay.
So
A whelping
it's like
box. Is it? No, not a whelping box.
it's like almost like a tent. It's like tent
Okay.
material, like a
Okay.
camping tent. And it folds up flat so it's easy to store and then it pops up just like a tent, but it's shallow enough that you can reach in it easily. It has a lot of different access doors to it and it worked great. It has a floor so everything's contained. The dust is more contained because it's like fully enclosed.
Mm-hmm.
It does get out a little bit because it's like meshy, breathable material, but
Right.
the only downside with it is it's difficult to use a heat lamp with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I got one of those plates, the
Okay.
heat plate instead, and I used that in there. So I loved it. I'm gonna keep using that. It was very nice, easy to clean and get to the chicks and all
Yes.
that. So
Yes. We have since we've moved to the farm, we have a building that we call our brood house. So we brood chicks, ducks, guinea hens, whatever, turkeys. We brood them all in there.
yeah,
And
that's
then
nice.
and then every season we shovel it out. Clean it up
Yeah.
for the next season. So
Yeah, it's
yes.
surprising how dirty they are for how like little and cute they are. It's like, what are you doing?
Yes. It's
Little poop
surprising how
machines.
they get to the awkward teenage stage rather quickly too.
They do. Yeah. They look
Yes.
like little like pterodactyls or something. I don't know.
Yes. Yes. So what do you need to brood chickens? So we talked about a
So
space for them. And we
yeah.
talked about heat
Yeah.
lamps.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah, heat
definitely need
lamp
a
or the
heat
heat
lamp.
plate.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. Lamp or plate.
Yeah,
Yes.
something for their food, a water. I mean, that's really all you need. Some kind of substrate, pine shavings or whatever you're going to put down in the
Yes.
enclosure. There's other things you can get, like you can get, just like any hobby, there's like so much crap you can buy that you don't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily need. Like you can buy little things for them to climb on that kind of replicate like a roost. I
Mm-hmm.
don't really find that I've put them in there because I have them, but all they do is they don't really use them. They just
Poop
clamber
on
on
them.
it and poop on it. Yeah. And then it gets dirty.
This is the
So,
pooping episode of Figuring Out Homestead Life. Chicken poop. No,
yeah.
that's
That
okay.
was actually a problem I had with the heat plate is they were climbing on top of the heat plate when they didn't really need it anymore and they were just pooping on it. But
Yeah.
now there's covers you can put on them that are domed so
Okay.
that they can't climb on it. So I'm going to have to get one of those because that was a pain.
Nice.
Because then it was
Um,
just like all cakey and fun.
Ooh, yes. And so my understanding with the heat lamp or heat plate, your temperature should be 90 degrees to start with. Like they need to be kept at 90 degrees initially ish, 90-ish degrees. And so we keep them in there until they start feathering. And not really the space requirements for chicks because I mean they start off these cute little things you hold in your hand, but space requirements for adult birds. Something to think about before you get your chickens, your baby chicks, is that where you're going to put them afterward.
Right.
So
Yes.
for what I have for space requirements is floor space. In a coop, they need 1.5 feet. And then for outside space, they need 5 to 10 square feet per bird.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything different?
I think the recommendation, well, see, it probably depends on who you talk to.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, because everyone has their own opinion. But yeah, I heard for floor space, 4 square feet per bird,
Okay.
and then 10 square feet outside. You also need to consider space for like your nesting boxes. So that's
Yeah.
going to take up floor space. The food may take up floor space. So you have to
Yeah.
kind of think about those other things too. There are recommendations for the roost, like how much roost space too per
Yes.
bird, but I don't know, I don't remember that off the top of my head.
I'm thinking that 1.5 square feet. It's not really square. Yeah, I guess it is square feet. Might have been roost space. I may have just written down floor space when I was doing my research.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So, when do you turn off the heat lamps?
Well, I think so there are like recommendations by the chicken gods that say like, okay, start off at, 90, 95 degrees and reduce it 5 degrees every week until you get to 75 degrees and like whatever. I never used a thermometer myself. I have no idea what the actual temperature was. I just looked at the chicks and
Mm-hmm.
saw what they were doing. So if they weren't going under the heat lamp at all anymore,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm like, okay, I don't think they need it now,
Right.
and you can tell if they're too hot, too cold by just seeing how they're acting
They're
in the
clustered.
brooder. Yeah, if they're all clustered together underneath the heat lamp, I think they're
Yeah.
probably a little cold. If they're all
Yes.
spread out as far away from it as they can get, they're probably too hot.
Yeah.
So you just have to kind of watch them.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll see when it's too hot, some of the chicks will be laying down with like their wings spread out, like sprawled out, trying to cool themselves off.
Yeah.
So, yes. It's like, oh, time to turn that lamp off.
Yeah. So I think you just need to kind of watch them and
Yes.
because it'll depend on like the ambient temperature and wherever you have them. If it's drafty at all, like there's different things that can affect it. So
Definitely. Definitely. When do you put your chicks outside? And that's kind of a loaded question. So it's when do you put them outside? Well, permanently or as they're growing.
oh yeah, right. Because you
So,
can pop them outside in the sunny day before they're fully feathered for a couple hours and just watch them.
right.
I never did that personally because where I keep them, it's like not convenient to carry them to the outside. So I personally don't put them outside until they're ready to go in the coop, which is
Okay.
just whenever they're fully feathered, which I think that can change too, depending on the breed and I think just how warm they've been kept. So,
Yes. I
what about
agree.
you?
So with having the brood house now, it's easier because we will just open the door. It will have a fenced area around the brood house that they can go into, and if it's a warm day, we'll have the door propped open so they can come and go as they please. The heat lamp is still on inside. If they get chilled, they can come back inside. So that's what we do. Once they start getting their feathers, we don't do that until they are at least in that teenage stage where their fluff is turning into feathers. So,
Yeah.
yes. Yes, that's what we do.
How do you go about introducing? Do you do anything special to introduce new chickens to your existing chickens that you have, or do you just kind of let them work it out, or?
You're supposed to introduce them slowly. So, we currently have 2 different adult flocks. One flock is living in the barn, again, pooping all over everything in the barn with the goats, just crapping all over the place. Sorry. The other flock is last year's spring chicks that we got. They're living in the chicken coop outside of the barn area. It's 50 feet from the barn area. And they don't They don't seem to mix. Like, the coop chickens stay on one section of the farm, and the barn chickens, for lack of a better word, they kind of stay. They come up into our yard and around the house, and then they're out in the barnyard. They don't seem to mix. The guinea
Okay.
hens go back and forth between both flocks,
Mm-hmm.
but they roost at night in the chicken
Interesting.
coop with the chickens.
Okay.
So, and I know you've introduced chicks, right?
Yeah, well, last year, the ones that I, excuse me, ended up keeping were the ones that my hen raised. So
Okay.
she did all that. I didn't have to
Yeah.
really get involved because she protected them from the other chickens. If the bigger ones tried to go up and mess with them, she was a fierce mama and, fended them off. And now those three kind of hang together
Hmm.
mostly. Those three chicks, they're kind of apart from the rest of the flock, but I do have an isolation area in the coop.
Okay.
So my plan is to put the new chicks in there so that they can all see each other, but they can't
Hmm.
get to each other for,
Yes.
the first few days, and then kind of let them out and see how it goes and kind of take it from there. So I
Okay.
know I've heard some other people take them up at night and put them on the roost while
Yes.
the other chickens are already roosted in the dark when they can't see. So then when they wake up the next morning,
It's
they're
like,
just
oh,
in there.
they're just not
Yeah.
very smart.
You always here? Who are you?
Hey, how's it going? I
So
haven't seen you since never.
so that's another way I've heard of people doing it. But I have that space, so I think I'm gonna try that and see how it goes. So
Okay. Cool. Cool.
yeah.
And you have incubated eggs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I didn't end up keeping those chicks though.
Okay. We incubated eggs 1 year. We incubated both chicken eggs and duck eggs. And we had two hens go broody a separate year, and they hatched out of 20 eggs, they hatched out four, two of
Mm.
which turned into roosters.
Oh,
So out of 20 eggs is like that was not a very good success rate
right.
on the hen hatching. And then we had lent our incubator to somebody and we never got it back. So
Oh dear.
not a big deal. I
Right.
think we may have gotten it for free. A friend may have given it to us. We passed it on to somebody else for them to try out and never saw it again.
Well, maybe they really liked it, so they're hatching eggs all over the place over there.
I, I could hope. I don't believe that's the case, but yeah.
I loved it. I thought
Anyway.
it was such a cool experience. It was so
Hmm.
awesome to
Yeah.
see them. It was just so cool. I feel like
Yes.
it was just very fun. I know teachers do it in school. I think that's a
Hmm.
thing. I'm not in my school because I was like a more of like a city
Hmm.
school system. So, but it was so fun. If you want to do it and you have the ability, I would try one time because it was just a very neat experience.
Yes.
So,
We don't currently have a rooster,
yeah, me neither. Now I don't
so
have a rooster, so that's not an
yeah,
option right now.
we don't have a
You can,
rooster.
I was just going to say, you can buy fertile eggs. I know you can buy them and people ship them.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and that's an option if you want like a super specialty breed that you can't find elsewhere. If you know someone that has them, they will
Right.
usually sell you eggs.
And buying fertilized eggs are cheaper than buying. My
Yeah,
understanding is buying a fertilized egg and incubating it yourself is cheaper than buying a chick for those specialty chickens.
probably. Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Do you have a preferred breed of chicken?
No, I wouldn't say so. Well, I have some that I don't want to get more of just because they're really flighty. Like my leghorns, they're not
Oh,
friendly at all.
yeah.
But they're the best layers. So I guess it all depends on like what you're like. Obviously, the goal is to get eggs, but if you're like, oh, I want to start an egg laying business, like then that would probably be a good chicken to get because
Hmm.
they lay an egg every single day without fail, but they're not friendly. So I'm now more drawn to the more friendlier ones that have
Hmm.
like pretty colored eggs because it's
Yes.
they're like they are chickens for eggs. I do sell them. We eat them obviously, but
Hmm.
at the end of the day, they're like pets kind of. So it's not,
Hmm.
it's kind of half
Yes.
and half what my priorities are.
Yes. Our chickens are not pets. They are a pain because they poop on everything. But they do fertilize. I mean, they do provide nice fertilizer. I like the black Australorps. Oh, so we got black Australorps. There's so many different breeds of chickens, and the names escape me right now. One year we had gotten 3 leghorns. We only have one remaining of the leghorns. I agree with you; they are very flighty, so much as they would fly up into the tree and just hang out in the
Oh
tree
no.
when you're trying to lock them up
Yeah.
in the coop at night. It's like, okay,
Oh dear.
well, you're going to be
Good
hawk
luck.
bait or owl bait, or
Yeah.
yeah. They did lay consistently. Yeah. But I like the black Australorps. I don't know if it's a wives' tale, but it's said that black chickens detour hawks from your flock because the hawks
Oh,
flying up above, they see this black bird down on the ground and they think it's a crow.
interesting, because I have 3 chickens that are all black, and I have
Okay.
2 Wyandottes that are
Uh-huh.
mostly black, I would say. They probably appear to be so from the sky. So, and I've never, knock on wood, never had. No, I was just like, no, storm. I've never had a hawk issue, and they're in the woods, and there's clearly hawks around. But yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe there's something to that.
Could
That makes
be.
sense, because yeah, because crows will beat up a hawk. So
Yeah. Yes. Yes, they will. I do like the Wyandottes. I like their color, the different types of colors and stuff. The silver laced, the
yeah,
red laced. They're gorgeous.
and they are of the ones I have. They're very personable. Like they run up to me. I think she's like a prairie. It was some special thing, like a prairie bluebell or something. She's very friendly. She's been my favorite since I first had my chickens. Her name is Penguin.
Cute.
I am ordering Orpingtons. I think that's how you
Okay.
say it.
Or
Orpington.
Orpingtons, like a buff Orpington.
Orpingtons.
Those are
Yes, I'm
supposed to be
ordering.
friendly and good layers also.
Yeah, so I'm ordering those, and I'm ordering a rooster. So I'm doing take 2
Okay.
with a rooster. So we'll see
Cool.
if he ends up being of some more
Okay.
longevity than little Herb did. So
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be a nicer rooster too.
yeah, so we'll
Because Herb
see.
got a little feisty there. So,
Yes.
yes.
So yes.
Do you, where is I going with this? Do you have any health recommendations for keeping your flock healthy?
I think just keeping them as clean as possible. Just
Okay.
keeping the coop as clean as possible. Free of drafts. Well ventilated, and just clean water and food.
Okay.
Really, I mean, I haven't done anything special. I don't do like some people do apple cider vinegar and like all this stuff. I don't do any of that.
I
So
started doing apple cider vinegar last year
okay,
with specifically our meat chickens.
okay,
And we're right now we've been talking mostly about laying. Well, no, this isn't
yeah,
necessarily all about laying hens because you would brood meat chickens the same way you would brood a laying hen.
yeah.
So I started adding like a tablespoon or 2 of apple cider vinegar to their water every
Hmm.
morning. Every time I filled their water, I would add just a dash of apple cider vinegar, and we received 26 meat chicks in the mail, and all 26 survived. I have never had that happen before. Usually I lose anywhere from 2 to 3 or 4 or 5.
Hmm.
So last year it helped, so I'm going to keep doing it. I
Hmm.
did I did look up through Google Scholar, not the regular Google, but Google Scholar. There are scientific studies about apple cider vinegar in chicken, or in giving it to the chickens, and giving them garlic powder. And basically, those 2 things do the same thing.
Oh, okay.
So it helps with their respiratory system. It boosts their immune system. It aids in digestion, regulates their pH levels in their body. It's basically a probiotic aid. And the garlic is used as a worm preventative. And chickens don't
Interesting.
really respond well to antibiotics. So it's a natural, the apple cider vinegar and the garlic powder are a natural antibiotic for them.
Hmm.
Yes. Sorry.
That's cool.
I was doing some research.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. I know. So I have done, which I don't even know what prompted me. I think I must have read something about like doing a deworming in the flock, like right before winter. But canned pumpkin or like pumpkin is a natural dewormer. So I have done that. That's really the only, and they liked it anyways. They just thought it was a treat. They were like super stoked. So
plus they get to decorate your pumpkin.
yes, I like, yeah, that's true. I do that too, just for fun. Have them carve a pumpkin for me.
Yes. Do you provide your chickens a space for a dust bath?
Yeah, I do. Okay. Yeah, but they tend to just dig holes and use that. They don't even really use the dust bath.
Yes.
So.
Just for our listeners, all 3 of them. Hopefully there's more than 3. Basically, a dust bath is kind of like a spa treatment for the chickens. They naturally do it. It helps clean their feathers. It controls parasites. And the best thing to use for that is loose soil or sand. I've taken to adding diatomaceous earth in because that also helps with mites, parasites, that type of thing.
I do add that in as well.
Okay.
And they love it.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah.
It's funny. Sometimes I'll go up there and I'll like, you look ragged. What's happening? And then they shake out and I'm like, oh, must have just been taking a dust bath.
Yeah. Yes. What else is on our list of questions?
Let's see. Well, do they need a coop? Yes, we already kind of went over that. And then you have asking about E. coli, bacteria. What did you want to mention about those?
So the E. coli, I think that's more for the human end of it. So it is ultimately so important that people wash their hands. Like running water and soap. Yes, hand sanitizer does kill some bacteria, but it doesn't kill as much as running water and soap. That is, not that I'm a huge proponent of the CDC, but it is recommended that you use running water and soap, not just hand sanitizer, to wash your hands. And if you need soap, I know where you can get some. I make it and sell it.
Soap. Yes.
So E. coli can wreak havoc, well, in your animals and in humans. So wash your hands with soap and water anytime after you've been handling animals. It's actually something I read was that even dogs and cats can carry it.
Oh, probably. So, I mean, yeah.
Yes.
I think that's just like with any animal, especially obviously after you're cleaning the coop or doing handling any, I have a poop board, so I'm scooping the poop out every morning, or, not every morning, but a lot of mornings. So yeah, important to go wash your hands. And even like when I was doing my giant coop clean this weekend, I did wear a mask because you don't want to be breathing all that in. That's no good.
I too wore a mask when I cleaned out the chicken coop. It sucked. It was a pain in the butt because I hate wearing, it's like hard to breathe, but I would rather be hard to breathe for an hour than have chicken dust in my lungs.
It's worse with my glasses, and my glasses are all scrunched up. I'm like, I can't see. Like
the bridge of your nose, it's either pushing on. Yeah. Do you follow any chicken people on social media?
I do. I follow a bunch of chicken people. I actually grabbed a couple books that I have.
Cool.
They're both by Lisa Steele, who is Fresh Eggs Daily. I love her. She's so cute. Yes. So this is 101 Chicken Keeping Hacks. And there's a lot of like DIY things. Some of them are just like cute, like, not necessary, just little cutie things you can do. But she also has all natural cleaning products, stuff you can do with the eggs, all sorts of information in there. And then this one is Duck Eggs Daily by her. And that's obviously more geared towards ducks.
No way.
Yeah. So
I just want to add that she was like #1 on my list. If people have like chicken things, chicken questions, she would be the #1 resource to go to.
Yeah. And
I feel like she's the expert.
And she'll
Yes.
answer you. Like I interact with her on Instagram, and she like just stupid stuff, replying to whatever story she puts, and she always replies to me. So she's
Okay.
not like too big of a account or
Uh,
whatever that she won't like respond to her
mhm.
people.
Do,
So I
is it
thought that
her
was
that's
nice.
is it her that's responding? She has to have a team. She's
I
doing
don't
TV
know. See,
shows and
it could be a team, but someone from her page is responding to me.
yeah, somebody is
So
making you feel heard, which is good.
yes, and
But yeah,
just like kind, she's just kind. So
that's cool. That's cool. I admire her. I started following her before she moved. She was down in Virginia. I believe
yeah,
her
no, she's
husband
in
was
Maine.
career Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And so now she's up in Maine. So I think she's incredible. I admire the way she keeps her chicken coop. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, that is a beautiful chicken coop. I don't have time to do that.
Spoiled
it's
chickens.
it's yeah, they are. They're loved and spoiled. So, yeah. I think she's awesome. So,
There is
okay.
also an account on here that I follow. It's the Hazelnut Homestead.
Okay.
She has a really fun personality. She does not keep chickens super conventionally. Her
Okay.
chickens actually roost in a giant tree in her backyard. She does
Cool.
have coops, but they're not big enough, I don't believe, for the amount of chickens that she has. So she's fun. She keeps it real with what she's doing. She also raises quail for food and for eggs. She has goats. So that's a fun account to follow.
Who who is that?
The Hazelnut Homestead.
Okay. Send me a list
Okay.
so we can tag these folks. One that I started following, and she's kind of gotten away from doing the chicken stuff so much, is House and Hens. I don't know if you follow her.
Mm-mm.
She, I believe, is in Florida. I actually started following her because of Ashley, my daughter,
Oh,
and she has ducks and chickens. She had some alpaca that got attacked by the neighbor's dogs. It was kind of a
oh
tragic
gosh.
story. Yeah, I don't think she has alpaca anymore. I think she just got goats. So she's down in Florida, and it's pretty cool. She's also, yeah, yeah. And there's lots of chicken people out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many because, yeah, and it depends on how big, how little scale you want to go. Jason at Sawyerland is basic. I think he's good to follow for like all
Chicken,
homesteading.
yeah,
Yeah, homesteading and chicken thing because they have layers, they have meat birds, they have turkeys.
yeah,
So,
yes. Just typing in chickens on an Instagram search real quick and seeing who comes up. Who comes up? I don't know. There's so many. So yeah,
yeah, there's a
lots of
lot.
good, lots of good resources. Something I have been delving a little bit more into is the Merck Veterinary Manual. It's
Mm.
online. It's free online access to it.
Oh,
So we'll put a link in our show notes for that. Your local county extension office is a resource for
hmm.
information. If your ag specialist at the extension office doesn't know, they can find somebody who does know. And then, have you gone to backyardchickens.com?
I was just thinking in my mind, I can't forget to say backyardchicken.com
Okay.
because that is an amazing resource and all the members are super helpful. If you put any kind of question on there, a lot of people will answer you. They're usually all friendly. It's a great, great resource.
Yes. Oh,
When I
one thing
got chickens, I was on there like 24/7. It was like an obsession. My Luke was like, "Are you on the chicken website again?"
constantly. What else? A couple things we didn't talk about was some protein or calcium requirements that chickens have.
Hmm.
So they do need a feed that has protein in it. Okay, controversial topic. Chickens are omnivores. They
Yes, for
eat
sure.
they eat anything almost.
If it fits in their mouth and it's moving, they'll try to eat it.
Yes. Well, even if it's not moving.
Well, the true, true. Yeah,
So I know there's a lot of people that advertise they raise vegetarian chickens, and it's like chickens are not
not good for
vegetarians.
chickens. No.
They do require calcium for their eggshells, like for their eggs. So crushed oyster shells is, I think, the number one thing to help them with that. And it stays in their, what's that called?
The crop? No,
The crop.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah? No? Okay.
I think I was thinking gizzard, but yeah,
It helps.
Yeah.
It's like a delayed reaction to, or delayed release of calcium. They also eat their own eggs. So
I'm
crushed
actually having a
eggshells.
problem with that right now.
Tractor Supply or Amazon or any farm store should sell the fake eggs or golf balls. You could put golf balls in there and they'll start pecking those and they won't break, and then that should help train them to not.
I just bought a whole pack so I have one in each nesting box. So I'm like, please stop doing this. Thank you.
Yes. A lot of people feed their eggs mealworms for protein. I have not done that because I keep looking at the price of mealworms. I'm like, that's expensive.
It is expensive. You can raise your own mealworms, which sounds yucky,
Gross.
but I've seen people that do it. If you don't mind like worms, it doesn't look like it would smell. They just keep them in pine shavings in like little totes. So that is an option because I do buy the mealworms and they are expensive, and they freak out as soon as they see the bag. They start attacking the bag because they just want the mealworms so bad.
I would assume that if you're feeding them dried mealworms, you can feed them fresh mealworms.
Yeah. Because the people that raise the mealworms are feeding them, just tossing them out alive. Yes.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something Randy and I should look into.
Yeah. Then you can sell them in the farm store. Feed
Oh,
our
yay.
chickens. Buy a bag of thing and feed our chickens.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's like a petting zoo.
No, we don't want to be a petting zoo. No. Claire the cow is doing well. Off topic.
Good.
Claire the cow is doing well. She is no longer being fed in her own stall.
Oh, okay.
So she's sleeping with the goat herd at night now, and
Aw.
she's getting fed separately from them in the morning and evening, in the front paddock. So yeah, but she's growing up.
Aw.
Yeah.
I know. Next time I see her, she's probably going to be like ginormous. And I'm going to be like, what happened to this little baby cow?
I feel like she's short. Sorry, I'm looking out the window. I feel like she's short.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that she's not going to be big enough in April when she goes, or not April, in August.
I was like, April, that's next month.
Yeah, in August, toward the end of August, she'll be going to see her bull boyfriend. So I'm a little worried that she's not going to be big enough because she's short.
Maybe she'll have like a growing spurt.
I mean, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
She needs more protein. All right. That's all I have. Do you have anything else?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, I think we covered a lot.
Quite a bit.
And we did do, if you want more information, we did do another episode about, it was less about the chick stage. It was more about just raising chickens and ducks and turkeys in general. So we can always go back and listen to that episode that we did last season.
We should put a link somewhere.
Yeah, to the other episode. Yeah, how do you do that, Fancy? Right here, click.
Right here. I'm pointing right here. So we'll see if it actually happens.
Are we going to be that fancy? We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see if we can figure out this technology.
Yeah, that'll be our next podcast, figuring out how to use technology life.
Yes. So you want to sign us out?
Yeah, so we thank everybody for listening. If you did enjoy the podcast, if you wouldn't mind giving us a review, that would very much help us out. A comment, anything, share it with your friends. That would be great. You can find us on Instagram at Figuring Out Homestead Life. You can also follow Allison, Zig&Vine Homestead on Instagram and on YouTube, where you can see the video version of this podcast. So
that
follow her there.
To.
Yes.
That's why
so you can see
pointing.
my book and our faces and all that. And then I am Mrs. White Homestead Life on Instagram. So follow us there, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.